Hey everybody, thanks for listening. Make sure you go to themorganyouknow.com for even more information about the Morgan You Know universe, including my ambitions as a writer blog. The Mrs. Morgan You Know, Kate Morgan, stays on her grind, shares anecdotes from her lengthy bucket list, lends her many opinions, and stays rough and rugged addressing the mass public on themorganyouknow.com.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the flagship sports podcast here on the Morgan You Know Podcast Network, Balls and Brew. We call it Balls and Brew because, well, we talk about basketballs, we talk about football, which will be just around the corner from here. We talk about golf balls every once in a while. I'm even willing to give baseball 3 minutes every once in a while. And we talk about sports the same way you talk about sports with your buddies, the way you are when you guys are having a couple of brews. We chop it up. And to help me do that this week, my co-host, as always, from North Carolina, 6'2", bald as Lex Luthor, but not quite as evil, but maybe just as old as Chris King. Chris, hello.
What's up, Rod? And Rod, do we need to schedule a counselor for you because you took some rather personal hits last night?
Yeah, it was a tough L for your boy, and thank you for checking in to help me along. Is the executive producer of this podcast and every other podcast on the Morgan You Know Podcast Network. It is Jimmy Jamriska. Jimmy, hello.
Hello, Rod. I'm glad you're on a high from Maverick, and sorry about your boy.
Yeah, that's right. I did. I literally went to a matinee showing of Top Gun Maverick today to raise my spirits because we have a bit of a special episode for all of you folks out there, and bless any of you that are joining us for the first time after checking in on our Tom Cruise and Maverick coverage here on the Morgan You Know Podcast Network. We're going to have a double episode for you. I'm going to drive the first half of this episode. We're going to do with Balls and Brew that I just introed you to. They're talking about basketball. And then on the back half, Jimmy Jamriska is going to drive, and we are going to talk about Hell in the Cell, the premium live event that occurred last night for the WWE Corporation in Chicago, Illinois. But to start, we have a 1-1 NBA Finals, and Chris, let's do a big picture question here because you know how we love to do big picture here on the Morgan You Know Podcast Network. The NBA is nothing if not a copycat league. We have Celtics v. Warriors. What do you think most teams are going to try to copy going into next year based on who we now have in the finals?
I think you're going to see a lot of teams copying the way Boston plays defense specifically, especially the way they've been able to shut down top-tier players consistently through these playoffs, whether it be Jimmy Buckets or what they were able to do to Golden State in that first game especially. That's been the biggest surprise to me this year. People know what Golden State's about. They got to the finals this year doing the same thing they've done, the past 8 years. Hit the long ball, get open looks, play solid D. People have been trying to copy that for a while now, and without two of the best of the generation type shooters, you're not going to be able to copy that. But you can copy what Boston's been doing.
Let me drill down on that for a second. Do you mean more along the lines of having just big rangy wings that can constantly switch, which Golden State has done, or are you talking a little bit more of the angle that Boston will put Robert Williams on a guy that they can then allow him to play free safety? Is that more the angle you're talking about?
Yeah, I like what Boston has done. I mean, Golden State tries a little bit. They tried to do like a box and one a little bit, even in game one. But like the stuff that the Celtics are doing, they got guys that can switch 1 through 5. They are able to do pre-switches like on 3 screens ahead of where it's the ball. Like you see them switching and hedging and doing all kinds of things that a lot of league isn't doing yet. And that's what's going to get copied.
Jimmy, we of course are not surprised that Chris is going to lean upon defense based on his past appearances here on the Morgan You Know Podcast Network. But Jimmy, how about the trend you think the league is going to copy based on our finalists this year?
I think something that we've seen with the every other game, the teams really need depth. And if you look at the Celtics and the Warriors, they really do trust 4 to 5 people on their bench to come in and play decent minutes in the playoffs, and you've got to have that depth. So I really think their teams are going to go away from having your 2 superstars and everyone else is just a role player to really getting a good solid 7, 8, 9 even players that you can play in the playoffs. I think that's what this playoffs have shown. It's a kind of a war of attrition, really.
See, I like that you went there, Jim, because what I wanted to play off of is a little bit of let's try a little bit harder at staying the course and being homegrown, right? Like that's what I think I would take away if I was executive in this league right now. We heard so much consternation about Danny Ainge, Trader Danny, as he was so often called, not making moves, right? Not trading for Kawhi Leonard, not doing a few other proposed deals that were out in the ether that never came through for the Celtics. But what did he do? He kept Robert Williams. He kept Marcus Smart. He kept Jaylen Brown. He kept Jason Tatum. He kept Peyton Pritchard, right? He kept Grant Williams. All of these guys that he drafted over the years, he kept on his team, and they are coming through in spades for the Celtics. And then you look across the court at the Golden State Warriors. Everybody said, you have an advanced team. You've won championships. You need to trade these young guys for a chance to continue to win. And Golden State's like, no, I'm not so sure we do. We're going to have these young guys on our team soaking up all of this championship equity, all of this veteran leadership that we still have, and we can contend, and we have young guys for the future. I just think I hope that we're going to see a few more front offices decide to stay the course and stick with what they have and believe in their original moves. Chris, do you think that will happen, or do you think all of these guys are going to get scared and go back to just listening to what the players want?
There's going to be a few out there that will stick to that type of plan, but there's going to be a lot more that will still get scared and do what the players want. We've seen it over and over and over again.
Yeah, and Jimmy, I suppose that like on some level you could say to yourself as an executive, you could ignore all of these great and smart points we're all trying to make right now and say that Golden State won their game because Steph Curry got on fire and hit a bunch of three-pointers, and Boston won their game because Jaylen Brown got really, really hot at the right time in the third quarter for them, and it's still about the horses in the barn and not necessarily the strategy, no?
Yeah, but again, it's homegrown. It's building through the draft and building around your superstars, and if you're always changing your roster around by 6 or 7 people per year, you're not going to get that continuity. You're not going to get the trust. And I really think that this is the way to go. We've seen it. It doesn't work anymore. Bosh and LeBron and Wade were unique in that Bosh was willing to step aside. LeBron was in his prime, and Wade was, coming down from his peak, but still up there. They were able to do it. But again, they didn't win 9 in a row either,
Chris, let's stay with this for one more second because Jimmy just hit an interesting point right there that I hadn't even thought about. Is the Big Three era, the get as many stars on your team era, doomed because of what Jimmy said right there? We don't have enough guys willing to be Chris Bosh right now. Is that essentially why you can't have a team that plays that way anymore?
Yeah, it's real tough now. You did see Golden State get it done with Kevin Durant, but that was Kevin Durant saying, no, it's still Steph's team. He kind of did a Chris Bosh type move, even though he was the superior player, really. You don't have enough guys out there that are like, hey, I can be the third guy. I can take a step back. It's just way too rare. Kevin Love did it in Cleveland when they finally got their championship, but too few and far between.
And I think also you have to speak to a job of coaching here, and we can start to get into a little bit of what we saw in the first 2 games. But I think Ime Udoka, what he's done the most for the Celtics is to get these guys to buy into a role, right? And Chris, you're speaking of championship equity, but I'm speaking of just role throughout the season, role throughout the way to get your team to ultimately get to the goal of, everybody, a rising tide floats all boats. And I think that the Celtics used to have a little bit of trouble with that. And I think that this team digs in and shows their mettle. And that's why they won game 1. And Jimmy, I'm not so sure they showed up in game 2. That would be my take on kind of the difference between game 1 and game 2. Jimmy, what would you say was the reason Boston won game 1 and then turned around and couldn't win game 2?
The Warriors seemed a little lackluster. I thought that the Warriors, when they started off in game 1, thought it was going to be kind of an easy win, and then they just kind of got blindsided, like you said. But in game 2, I have to give a lot of credit to Draymond Green. He was going to be a jerk the entire game. The refs kind of let him get away with being a jerk. I mean, he did get the tee, but you've got to read the room, and Draymond knew that he had to be all up in their face talking trash. And they really, it helped his team step up because it kind of lights that fire under them that they needed. I really think, that's why they won game 2 right there.
All right, Chris, let's get into this. This is the elephant in the room. Longtime Morgan listeners know that you and I have had a few disagreements about Mr. Draymond Green over the years. I have to maybe lean a little bit more toward your side of the argument here, where I think he's existing more on reputation and what Jimmy just spoke about there, irritancy, than he actually is on any positive play for Golden State. What's your take on 123 out of Michigan State's play for Golden State right now?
Yeah, well, he did his typical triple single. He got 9, 5, and 7 last night. But in a period where Golden State still hadn't pulled away yet, he came dangerously close to derailing that whole run. If he does get teed up there for throwing his feet on Brown and pulling his pants down or whatnot, like, that could have been a huge turn in the game, because that annoyance and everything got in the way of the team.
But, Jimmy, I think that's his veteran leadership right there a little bit, right? That's his veteran savvy, so to speak, knowing that since he already got teed up once, they're not going to throw him out for that, right, Jim? At least that's how I took that, right? He knew he had carte blanche at that moment to go a little further, and that's maybe the bogus way that we all don't want to see a guy get thrown out, but we also don't want to see a guy be able to get away with something that maybe would be a tee in any other situation.
And it's always in the back of the officials' minds, what happened with Cleveland when he got thrown out and Cleveland ended up winning.
Good point.
They don't want that excuse again. But yeah, it's savvy. Like you said, he knows exactly how far to push it until he gets that first tee, and then he knows he can push it a little bit farther before he gets that second tee. And listen, he's the type of player, and I know I've heard this before, but you love to have him on your team. You hate when he's on the other team, and he got the win. He did. Yes, a triple single is exactly right, but it's so much more than just the stats on that one, though, I think.
No, it was Lance Stevenson type stuff last night. That would have been in a regular season.
He didn't blow anyone's face, did he? He laid on. He put his legs over something. Whatever.
In a regular season game, that would have been a double T. Brown and Green would have got technicals, and Green would have been out of the game.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I think that would have been a double T situation, right? I don't think you would have seen either guy get singled out in a regular season game, but it would have been a double T situation. And Jimmy, I tend to lean your way here, right? I'm with Chris that I think Draymond gets a little overinflated. I think his value to the Warriors exists a little bit more on reputation than it actually does on plus minus and things that can get drawn up on the dry erase board over on the sidelines these days. But he clearly was in the Celtics' head, right? Like Grant Williams spent a bunch of time barking at him all game long. Marcus Smart was barking at him. The bench was barking at him. Draymond Green was barking at Ime Udoka, right? And it just seemed as if like Draymond was barking at him. Golden State took the punches. They went crazy with the Poole half-court three-pointer. Steph hitting a couple of three-pointers in a row. Got the Celtics down 16, and it seemed like the Celtics just kind of knew when that fourth quarter started they weren't coming back. Jimmy, did you get that same feel? Because that's kind of what I felt like. Even though I know both of us were kind of splitting our attention between two things, and we'll get to that other thing on the back end.
Yeah, it was a very tough night yesterday. I'm kind of glad it went out of hand late there. But yeah, he wore them down. When you're focusing too much on your anger and one person who, as Chris said, on the court didn't do as much, but when you're so focused on somebody, you're forgetting the little things. You're getting to get back on D. You're forgetting to box out a little bit because you know something's going to happen. I think he did a great job. Even Udoka, like you said, he kind of got involved in that as well, and that's not something you need from a coach.
Now, Chris, we know that you are anti-Draymond Green, but I also know that you are somebody who likes a little bit of let's play as hard as we can possibly play, right? Do you see the benefits that Draymond provided to Golden State last night in those complete irritant ways, right? Like the way that the Celtics love to complain about every foul call, that a guy like Draymond can really turn the tides. Would you agree that he at least had that effect last night, even though I know you're an anti-Draymond Green guy?
I wouldn't doubt that he's able to get in certain guys' heads. Everyone in the NBA jaws. We weren't in the middle of the conversation, so we don't know who it affected and who it didn't. I would be willing to bet it probably affected Grant Williams more than it affected Marcus Smart, but Boston had a whole lot other more pressing issues last night than Draymond Green that affected that loss.
All right, well, tell me, what do you think the Celtics need to improve upon if they want to make sure to turn it around and not suffer 2 L's in a row when they play the first game in Beantown here on Wednesday night?
How about take care of the basketball? All right. How about not have 18 turnovers where Golden State scores 33 points off those 18 turnovers? Golden State
I think that's good.
Golden State wasn't great. They had 12 turnovers, but Boston could only score 15 points off those 12 turnovers. So they weren't even taking advantage of that. And the other problem, and really I saw this as an issue for both teams. I did think Golden State did a little bit better at this in the second half, but I look at it and they have both, and this is offensive rebounds. They both ended up with 6 last night. But the first half and the first part of the third quarter, I literally never saw anybody from either team attack the boards for an offensive rebound. And if you're a team like Boston that's shooting 35, 37% during the game, you got to crash the boards and get those second chance points if you want to keep in it. I really don't know how they were only down 2 at halftime. I thought they got outplayed the entire game, and I thought Golden State should have been up more at half.
I would tend to agree with you. Jimmy, let me go to this. Let me go to something you talked a little bit about here. You mentioned earlier that you thought Golden State certainly seemed to have a little bit more verve behind them possibly in game 2. So do you attribute the turnovers that Chris spoke about, the dreadful, almost record-setting 2-point shooting that the Celtics put up, do you attribute that to Golden State changing something up schematically on defense? Do you attribute that to Gary Payton II being in there? Or was it simply just Golden State played a little bit harder, and if they keep up that level of intensity, the Celtics may be in trouble, and game 2 is more indicative of what we see the rest of the way out?
I think yes to answer all of those questions. I think Gary Payton gives, he played 25 minutes. I mean, that's an amazing asset off the bench that you haven't had for a long time. And having him come in really disrupts everything. Golden State can play even smaller, and then you have your issues of having both Horford and Williams in at the same time, where Horford really was not doing very well in this game. So I think they changed up some things schematically with the addition of Peyton. I would say that would be the answer for that.
You brought up one of the keys I wanted to make sure we touched on here before we start to round to a close on the end on what we've already seen and then lead into game 3 here. But I think Al Horford is the key here, right? I think we saw Jason Tatum 3 of, I think it was 16, something like that in the first game. Dreadful shooting. A lot more points out of him in the second game. That's fine. So you're going to see Derek White and Horford drop off a little bit. But the Celtics cannot have both of those guys dropping all the way back into the non-threat, non-point scoring levels. I think if Al Horford shows himself a little bit more like he did in game 1, the Celtics are a lot better off. But I think if Marcus Smart continues to be the one who has to get some shots when Tatum and Brown can't, the Celtics are in trouble. Chris, what do you see coming up here in game 3?
If part of the problem they had was, turnovers is going to lead to this, is they couldn't get into a rhythm in that half-court offense. Horford only got 4 shots off. That's them not moving the ball well, not reversing the ball, not getting those open looks. You got to give somebody like Horford, who is really, your number 3 scorer on the team, solid open looks. You can't expect White to go out there and get you 13 shots every night. And that's, he only made 4 of those. So if it wasn't for Tatum in that first half getting hot from 3, it would have been a whole lot worse. You got to move the ball. You got to protect the ball. You got to get that ball reversal and get those guys open looks like they did in game 1 in that fourth quarter, and you will see Horford and Brown and Tatum just keep draining threes.
Now, Chris, you were high on the Celtics when we talked about the Eastern Conference playoffs and our overall playoff preview, but it sounds to me as if both you and Mr. Jamriska might be a little bit down on the Celtics here and kind of excited about what you saw vis-a-vis the Warriors in Game 2. Am I reading this correctly, Chris? And then we'll go to Jimmy.
I am more disappointed in how Boston played in Game 2 than I am impressed with how Golden State played in Game 2.
Okay.
I thought Golden State performed just about the same as they did in Game 1. Boston performed that much worse where they scored 32 points fewer.
All right, so Jimmy, should Boston be worried about playing a little worse in Game 2, or should we just assume that Golden State has found their level? Because I think you've tipped your hand already there, so I guess let's clarify it.
I think Boston's going to come out at like a madhouse in Game 3. I actually think they're going to take Game 3 and they're gonna adapt. They've adapted all playoffs. They've been able to figure out ways to win. I love Golden State, but I honestly, I may have tipped my hand the wrong way. I think Boston's going to come back strong. I like Boston in Game 3.
Okay, I see. I would tend to agree with you there as well. I think that this series is going to be long. I don't know right now where my ultimate loyalties will lie as far as who I should pick to win. Clearly, my loyalties is who I want to win are with the Celtics, but I would tend to agree with you. The Celtics respond to adversity very, very well. I think that Boston crowd is going to be hell of excited to be playing in the first game of the finals in quite a few years there. So I would not be surprised if Boston plays a lot better in Game 3. But ultimately, that Golden State experience that clearly showed its head in game number 2 has me really wondering where I want to lean. Mr. King, I'm going to put you on the spot first before we ultimately move on. We're 1-1, best of 5. Who do you think is favored in this best of 5 we have left in the NBA Finals?
I gotta give Boston the lead right now, just because now they have home court advantage, and playing at the Garden can be rough on opponents. So I gotta give them the edge.
All right, so you like Boston to win at least 3 out of the next 5. Jimmy, we got a best of 5 series. You said you like Boston in 3, but do you like Boston to win 3 of the next 5?
Yes, I do.
Wow, all right.
I think it's going 7, and I think Boston's winning it.
See, I like this. Ultimately, I think what we're speaking to here is just how entertaining this series can be. We're dealing with just 2 very good basketball teams where we're dealing with a lot of very solid basketball players who understand their roles, understand the way to move the basketball, drive the basketball, a lot of good shooters out there, a lot of good coaching, all of the above. So I hope that all of the things that we talked about happen, because then we'll sound smart, but also because it will continue to be a very entertaining series. That is the end of the podcast portion. Well, I will be driving here on Balls and Brew. Stick around for a little bit of a break, and when we come back on the other side, Mr. Jamriska will be driving. And for those of you who don't check in on Yeah We Know, the wrestling podcast, very often, we're going to give you about 15 to 20 minutes of what you're missing over there, and Jimmy will be driving on the other side. We'll talk about Hell in a Cell.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Yeah We Know podcast, part of the Morgan You Know podcasting network. You're in the ring with Jimmy and Rod. Rod, what are you hot about today?
I love that you asked me what I'm hot about today, as if any listener of the Yeah We Know podcast / Balls and Brew podcast, because I'm excited to be doing a crossover episode right now, but I'm only excited because I have endorphins running in my body from cinema entertainment out of Hollywood. I had to go see Top Gun Maverick for a second time today, Jimmy, to raise my spirits about my guy, the visionary, the revolutionary, Seth freaking Rollins, being 0-3 to the American Nightmare, who was even injured, and he couldn't beat him, but we'll get there.
So, a little behind this curtain here. First of all, we have one of our close personal longtime friends from North Carolina, Chris King. Chris, welcome to the Yeah We Know podcast again.
Oh, it is great to be back, Jim. I love it.
So we need to talk about something, Rod. Something just happened on Raw. It is Monday night. We are recording this during Raw because, we're old and that's the only time we have. Rod, what if I told you that Edge was just beaten to a pulp by the members of Judgment Day?
Really?
What?
The 3 members of Judgment Day just destroyed Edge on Raw live.
The 3 members of Judgment Day? I thought there were only 2 members of Judgment Day not named Edge.
Well,
no, there's 3.
Now there is. We have a new member of Judgment Day. Rhea Ripley, Damian Priest, and the new leader of Judgment Day, Finn Balor. Just beat down Edge, destroyed him in the ring.
Wow. I listen, I'm going to come right out here and pat myself on the back for a second. I felt like maybe we'd see a Finn Balor switch up last night during the Hell in the Cell, but then when it didn't happen, I decided to back off of my prediction, but here we are. Wow.
The weird thing is, The rest of the Bullet Club, AJ and Liv Morgan, were nowhere to be seen. Judgment Day was doing a promo in the middle of the ring. Balor came down, and I obviously didn't hear the audio because I was listening to something more important. But they just beat the hell out of him. So wow. I think this shows they need a baby face. They need a huge baby face now that Cody Rhodes is gone. You got your new baby face in Edge.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even think of that. You're absolutely right.
Yep.
You're absolutely right. We just put Cody front and center, just had him beat the Visionary, the Revolutionary. I'm going to continue to talk Rollins up this entire podcast to try to help him out.
I understand. Because he lost 2 in a row. Yeah.
But, so he just beat Rollins. He's flying high, but he has a torn pectoral, so he's probably not going to be able to work Money in the Bank. May not even be back in time for SummerSlam. Jimmy, you're absolutely right. I didn't even think of this. You got to microwave a babyface quickly, and why not have that babyface be the Hall of Famer, the multi-time WWE champion Edge? Yeah, I didn't even think of that.
So apparently Finn Balor's going heel, which I think will be good. AJ, Liv Morgan, who are they going to bring in to maybe face, does Edge just jump ship and go to AJ and Liv Morgan? That's kind of weird. So there's that. And then we also had, at the start of Raw, Cody did an amazing promo. And I know, Rod, you usually watch Raw a day later.
I caught the beginning of Raw today. I caught the beginning all the way up until the Usos were getting ready to fight the Street Profits.
Amazing promo to begin. You knew he was hurt. This was killing him. Rollins came out. They did a great back and forth and how Rollins loved him, but you knew something was happening. And your boy said, I've had it. Sledgehammer right to the torn pec. I think he'll be out now for Money in the Bank. He teased that he would win Money in the Bank, but I think this means he'll be out and get surgery. What do you think, bud?
I think you're right. But, Chris, I want to bring you in right here because you are ready to just tell people and call me on my BS very often. But what did I tell you yesterday in a text message was going to be the only silver lining to Seth Rollins losing for the third time in a row from Cody Rhodes? What did I tell you would be the only silver lining?
Oh, I know. You're going to be mad if I get it wrong, so I'm going to actually look it up. Because I remember you said
content
it.
Here.
No, what I said was the only thing that we have to look forward to is Seth is going to come back. No more dancing, no more laughing. He's going to be all about business. He's going to be sadistic until he gets his revenge and rises to the top again. And we saw the beginning of that character tonight on Raw. So, Jimmy, you're right that it was sadistic and it was underhanded and it was all of the above. But it's the only place somebody like Seth can go right now after 3 straight losses. So I am for it, but I'm also in the barn for Seth Rollins.
And I know that you're anti-Cody now because he called him Seth frickin' Rollins.
He did. You know that I've already made myself clear. I've made myself clear there. It's freaking. It says it behind him on the huge Jumbotron. It shouldn't be that hard.
EAK is eek. All right, so let's get to Hell in a Cell. It's another Hell in a Cell pay-per-view that was kind of underwhelming on its surface, but had a couple of really good matches. Chris, overall thoughts on Hell in a Cell as someone who doesn't watch all these pay-per-views?
There were some good matches, and for sure the Hell in a Cell match with Rhodes and Rollins was phenomenal. Like, way phenomenal. I was really, really impressed that whole time. And I thought they opened it well. I thought that women's triple threat match was real entertaining too. Like I thought it was a pretty good pay-per-view.
That's a good place to start, Jimmy. Yeah, let's start there.
Yeah, let's start there. So, WrestleMania quality opening match here between Asuka, Becky Lynch, and Bianca Belair. It ends however. Now, Chris and Rod, I know Rod's watched a lot more recently, but Chris, every single triple threat match ends like this. Every one, where someone throws somebody out and steals the pin. I like how they did it this way. Bianca retains because they don't hate Bianca yet, but Becky has she's got her gripes because she got the finishing move on Asuka. Asuka did another job. That's 3 jobs I think in a row for Asuka. But I thought this was a fantastic opening matchup and really got the crowd going. They have something with Becky in these opening matches. I think it really starts to show off great.
Yeah, Big Time Bex was sort of born for me tonight, Jimmy. You know that I've kind of really challenged Bex ever since she has come back and become this character and not necessarily been the man that you always told me that I have to give love and respect to and how big she was during that time that I was away. But this match, she won me over, man. I completely bought her as someone who was cerebral, who was technical, who was athletic, who was able to bring the power when she had to, right? Like a couple of her Becksploder and manhandle slams this time around, I was into and was like, okay, this is the person that I can see as just as good as Charlotte Flair, just as good as Rousey, just as good as Bianca, just as good as Asuka, right? At times, I wondered and worried about Becky because of how small she is, but this match, she really won me over. I was thoroughly entertained.
Yeah, she really has gotten a lot smaller, I think. I don't know, if she's just not doing as much weightlifting or anything like that, but she has gotten, I noticed today, very small overall. Chris, what'd you think of the match overall? I know you liked it. Are these three people that you think could headline WrestleMania again?
Yeah, like I will watch Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair wrestle anytime. This is my first time seeing Asuka.
Asuka, yes.
But I was impressed, and yeah, I've seen triple threats. I figured this is how it would, and they were really setting it up because there were a lot of times that I thought Becky could have had the pin, and Asuka did her work. So I was very impressed. I mean, I would have given it an A. Like, it was a great match.
Yeah, Asuka's one of my favorite wrestlers, and she's probably one of the best wrestlers on the
those spinning elbows and forearms are vicious.
Vicious. They had one botch where Bianca was supposed to jump on Asuka doing the Asuka lock on Becky, and she just missed it. But other than that, really, really solid.
Asuka kind of just like magically became jarred on that, though, right? I loved Asuka's performance.
She's
to
like,
the bit, right? She knew that was my spot here.
Yeah, it's like, what are you doing? Guess what? I think we finally had the end, Rod. Lashley against MVP and Almost. I think we had the end because tonight Lashley and Theory kind of went at it, which I thought was great.
That
Lashley
makes
wins,
sense. I saw a little bit of that.
because they hate Almost. Why get whatever? I love Lashley, so it's fine with me. Chris, what do you think about the battle between Lashley, MVP, and Almost?
I like it. He's a solid beast. He's the type of guy you want wearing a belt in the WWE, really. Like, he's got the physique, the mentality. Like, Lashley's...
Look at those biceps.
I enjoy watching Lashley wrestle.
Okay.
I'm totally with you. I was so anti-Bob so long ago, and he's not the most charismatic guy, but he's got enough gravitas. You believe him just enough, and he's just absolutely chiseled out of stone. And is monolithic and as caveman as that sounds, he's just chiseled out of stone. Give me that guy. He is one of the few people, Jim. Now, I know you're a little down on Omos losing all these to Lashley because
Correct.
You want big things out of Omos in the future, and I agree with you. But I think in the weird WWE way we do things, okay, Lashley's the one guy who can beat Omos a couple of times and you buy it, right? Because Lashley's chiseled out of stone. There's not anybody else like the Almighty. And so I think Omos is hurt, yes, but he still is huge. You can tell that he slimmed down from when he used to wear the bomber jacket and only show up with AJ Styles. So we've got him in the weight room. We're cutting him up a little bit. Big things are coming from Omos, but this was good work for him out of Bob. He got to see how to wrestle in a few more matches that people actually care about, and ultimately that's a good thing.
Yeah, I agree. I think that you keep Bobby Lashley winning. He's got the streak going again. Now he's going to go for Theory, perhaps. We also, John Cena's coming back. June 29th, he's coming back. So he's going to have a program with somebody. Could it be Lashley? Probably not. Could it be Theory? It might be Theory with John Cena. But let's
not guarantee the people that he's going to work a program either, all right?
Oh, he's going to work a program.
Cena.
He's going to wrestle at SummerSlam, I guarantee it.
Oh man, we don't need him wrestling at SummerSlam. He can come back and have his his moment on that night's Raw or SmackDown or whatever, but we don't need him at SummerSlam. But I guess you're right. If we don't have Cody Rhodes, they're probably definitely pulling that emergency and break glass.
Oh, for sure. Ezekiel and Kevin Owens, man, let me tell you something, gentlemen. There was so much they could have done with this. It was fine. It was fine.
No,
it was
don't
a
even
Raw
give
match.
him that, Jimmy.
Kevin Owens beat him. It was over, but it really didn't do anything special. And they're going to continue on with this feud. Right now, they're talking Ezekiel and Kevin Owens. There could have been so much more that could have happened here. Chris, what'd you think? Rod's throwing up right now.
I'm not a Kevin Owens fan.
You don't get on. Well, him? Right.
But I will say I think he can do work in the ring. That's for sure. But the thing that blew me around and got me confused was this whole And like I don't watch like you guys, so this whole Ezekiel Elias backstory, like is he faking trying to be his twin brother? It's just I don't get it. I didn't really understand it. It was pretty boring of a match for me. So
did you think Elias looked a little bit like the Ultimate Warrior? Let me get my little pet project in here real quick.
I mean,
did you think Elias
because
looked a little bit like the Ultimate Warrior?
Ezekiel, please.
It's Elias, Jim. It's Elias. I'm with Kevin Owens. It's Elias.
I mean, if you want to say that he has the arm tassel bands, yes, but that's about it.
Yeah, but he's got kind of basic moves, right? And he's all kind of like, get me pumped up, you know what I mean? Like he's running around with the long hair. Like I think there's more than just the arm tassels, but definitely that's one of the main proprieties.
Yeah,
Chris,
like when you see those, you think Ultimate Warrior.
Chris, I love your point there, because if you're somebody who does just watch the pay-per-views, you have no idea what's going on with Ezekiel and Elias. You may not even know who Elias is. That's why they do some of the video packages beforehand, but really their video packages, they have to go a lot into detail with that. So I appreciate that comment there. You're wrong about Kevin Owens. He's the greatest there is, but other than that.
But Jimmy, listen,
yeah,
I want to say I'm sorry to you, and I'm sorry to the listeners here, because you went out on a limb like you don't very often do, and backed WWE Creative here and said, you know what, I'm going to make a hot take right here. I'm going to say something that people are going to resonate with and is going to go out there, and if I am right on it, I'm going to be great, and you absolutely weren't right on it, and I'm sorry for you. I say stuff like that all the time, but that's not normally your gimmick, so I wanted to say that I feel for you.
It's interesting to see, because there was a point when they went to Elias, Ezekiel, whoever, they went to him in creative and said, hey, we're going to repackage you, shave your beard, okay? I think that's how it went, and they really didn't know what they were going to do. But if you got to the point where you were going to say, hey, it's Elias Ezekiel, you've got to do some backstage video. You've got to do something.
Yeah.
To make it
like
fun.
deep fakes, right? Like we heard of some, deep fakes. WWE's got enough money to pay for one of those, right? Like we've seen a guy on Instagram that seems exactly like Tom Cruise saying a bunch of crazy stuff, right? Like a deep fake, something, anything, just a bad beard on somebody. You could have done anything other than that bad squash ending you gave us, because I think to a man on WWE wrestling Twitter, which is a bad, vile place, just like most things on Twitter are, most people were like, this Elias, Ezekiel, Kevin Owens thing is so stupid, but I like it anyway. And so you had people buying in. It was over the biggest thing you go for in all of professional wrestling, and then that's the payoff you gave us. I was so disappointed.
Well, they're going to continue on. Speaking of continuing on, we've got Judgment Day and Bullet Club in a match that doesn't matter now, because Judgment Day is blown up and the new Bullet Club isn't the new Bullet Club anymore. So we had Judgment Day win. Edge didn't wrestle very much. Someone forgot. Someone's clothes didn't show up, so Rhea Ripley had to wear something completely different than she's ever worn before, which I thought was kind of interesting there. Overall, a solid match. This was kind of on in the background when I was doing some stuff, so I don't have as many details on this one. But overall, it was solid from these people. Very solid.
I mean, again, I don't want to speak too much on this match because of what you just said. It's all blown up here. But what I will say vis-a-vis Rhea Ripley's costume difference this particular match, and I'm treading lightly here, but
yes, you are.
I would imagine that one Sir Mix-a-Lot noticed an awful lot of what Rhea Ripley had going on in the ring last evening. That's just all I'm going to say about that.
Chris, what did you think about the match itself, sir?
Yeah, I mean, it does not matter at all now. But I didn't necessarily know much about Damian Priest. I didn't know much about Finn Balor either. So it was nice to see them. They probably put the most work in the ring besides the two women, Ripley and the other girl.
Liv Morgan.
Whoa. Liv Morgan? Show Liv Morgan some respect here, Chris.
The other female WWE
AJ Styles,
superstar.
Jimmy, speaking of respect, Jimmy, I don't know that I gave AJ Styles enough respect. Where did we rank him on our top 25 list?
I was trying to see. I'll take a look here in a second.
Because I was thoroughly impressed with his performance on SmackDown leading into Hell in a Cell, and I was thoroughly impressed with his performance in this, right? And I'm just kind of like, we're talking about babyface, vacuum, all of the above. Like, AJ Styles seems to be having a little heat cooking. Like, maybe we can get one last good run out of him, Jim.
I think so. We had him at 15.
That's too low.
It sounds actually no. Yeah, we had him at 15. It sounds too low, especially when you see like Theory above him.
Yeah, they give Theory so much more credit, but you could just see the heat that AJ can garner with the fans, and you can just see the way that he can work a match still, right? Like those couple of forearms that he hit he was on it last night.
Yeah, but honestly, real quick side here. Who are you going to take Lashley and put him below Styles? Maybe. But then after that, you got Asuka, McIntyre, Edge, Becky Lynch, Kevin Owens, Ronda Rousey in our top 5. So
yeah, you're
maybe
right.
Styles, maybe we did Styles right there.
He represents the top of that second tier sort of that we talked about, right? Like we have the head of the table who's just in a league of his own. Then we have a bunch of people who are fighting to be right behind Roman, and then there's a drop-off, and AJ's at least ahead of the drop-off. But he's before the also-rans that we talked about who make up the bottom 3-4.
Since we made this list, we've had Cody Rhodes get hurt, Randy Orton get hurt.
Well, Randy Orton's apparently never wrestling again. They continue to just beat that down our throats.
And Edge is dying. Edge died today. They broke his neck, so there's that. Other than that, we're fine.
Yeah. I mean, we just, we're already wrestling Mustafa Ali versus Austin Theory at the pay-per-view. But you know what? That wasn't a bad match. I thought that was an okay match by Ali. The fans were into it.
It was fine. The only way you could make this work is in Chicago when he went for his finisher and missed. That was an awesome miss by him. You knew there was no shot he was going to win, but it was fine. Chris, did you care about this one at all?
I was kind of happy to see them not be friends anymore. I don't know why. They annoyed me the times I saw them, like, doing their promos and stuff. I don't know why. I'm glad Happy got put in his place.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah.
So
you confused me there for a minute. We'll talk about the Happy Corbin Madcap Moss matchup here in a second. But the theory, and
you
Mustafa
skipped
Ali match. Yeah, we did, and I thought, Rod kind of jumped over that one.
Because we should. All right, we should jump over the Happy Corbin Madcap Moss match.
Hey, by the way, just for the record, only SmackDown match on the entire show.
That's true, though.
Great booking there, gentlemen.
Yeah, that was surprising. Anyway. So I didn't know Ali was from Chicago until before the match. So I thought that was cool. I thought him getting to put on a pretty decent show in front of his crowd was exciting. I mean, the crowd was pretty pumped for this match, and I think that helped. I'm not a big Austin Theory fan, of course, so I was upset when he still retained the belt.
It's just Theory, Chris. It's just Theory. Austin is too confusing for everybody.
Oh, okay.
Because Steve Austin's name, we're not smart enough, Chris.
Yeah, we as wrestling fans, we can't possibly be trusted to understand that. Let's just skip over the Happy Corbin Madcap thing. Fine.
Let's talk
Happy
about
Corbin's
this
injured, whatever. Let's get to the big match.
Unbelievable main event. So all day, they're a couple days before, Cody's hurt. WWE sends it out, Cody's hurt. Cody walks down to the ring, not moving his right arm whatsoever. When he's standing in the ring, you can see the bruise, but when he takes that jacket off, my kids were like, "What is that?" I'm like, "That's what happens when you rip your entire boob off on the inside." And the fact that he was able to, first of all, we can have a whole philosophical discussion on if he should have been in the ring or not.
No.
I guess if you rip it off all, can you do any worse? Well, maybe not that, but maybe something else you're trying to overcompensate for. But the match was amazing. He did a terrific job, and this will go down in history as one of the gutsiest performances ever. Right, Rod?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, but listen, here's my immediate thought. First off, Jim, I kind of did the same thing you did. I immediately ran upstairs and told the Mrs. Morgan, that she needs to check this match out, and she was instantly horrified when she saw what Cody Rhodes was working with in the ring, all right? But what I will say is, yeah, okay, fine, gutsy, great, you performed with a torn pectoral, but you know what that also does in my eyes a little bit, and I hear no one talking about this? You instantly delegitimize professional wrestling right there. We all know it's a work anyway, but you instantly make it, oh yeah, look at this. This guy's performing with a torn pectoral because it's all just a big joke anyway, and they decided who's going to win. Because any other sporting activity, you would not be out there performing that way. So I'm not trying to take anything away from Cody Rhodes' guts, but I would have just pulled him out of the match and figured some other way out. We had Sasha and Naomi literally walk out. We've had COVID. So many different reasons. The card is subject to change at all times anyway. I wouldn't have put him out there, but you certainly got to build Cody Rhodes' legend.
Hot take, Morgan. Chris, what do you think?
It definitely increased his legend. Whether or not it was worth it, I don't know. I'm kind of with Rod. If it's a 100% complete tear, he shouldn't have been in the ring. As a not a avid fan 100% of the time, I think it was a little bit of both. I think it was a little bit of work, and I also think it was a little bit of an injury. I am willing to think that it probably wasn't a 100% tear, a partial tear. I think you can still get bruising like that with any kind of muscle tear. It doesn't have to be completely off the bone. There were just some times where I thought he was putting a little bit more weight on that arm than what he could have if it was a complete tear.
Yeah, I don't think I agree with that as much. I think with the bruising there, I think is just a little much.
Jimmy, we have to think about this on the other hand real quick. Of course, I'm going to go to the Seth Rollins angle here, but we have to think about it on the other hand. What does it do to Seth Rollins? Everybody sees this torn pectoral. We're talking about it the whole time. He can't perform at his fullest extent, and this guy, one of your biggest guys in the company, goes down to him again in a Hell in a Cell match. We just have to think about it that way. That's another reason I wouldn't have put him out there.
Yeah, it's tough because yes, there was a cowbell involved. There was the bull rope. There was a sledgehammer, but that came on later in the matchup. Rollins did go after the pec, but could he have done more? Yes, they wanted to go long. They wanted to give you a good main event, and they did. But yeah, I mean, this is one of your bigger guys. I even texted you. I think, hey, you might have a shot here and win in the match, but. It depends what they do moving forward, Rod. It really does. What are they going to do with
And
Rhodes?
how much confidence in them do you have of picking the right way forward, Jimmy?
Zero.
Well, the crowd loved it.
It was amazing. The crowd loved it. It was amazing.
Nobody's more over than Cody Rhodes right now, especially with the head of the table being away.
I mean, Seth Rollins was in Chicago. He's from Chicago. Every time the Bears lose, he says, I hate football on Twitter. Every single time. He says, I love football when they win, but you don't see that very often. And the crowd was full babyface Cody Rhodes. The only time that they were genuinely happy with Seth Rollins, they did sing his music, which is great, but is when he got the table because they wanted a table in the previous match. I thought it was great, and
his costume was great. His costume was great. We didn't mention that.
The polka dots.
Yep, that was great. And overall, I think the way they did the match, it's not gonna hurt professional wrestling very much. It's not gonna hurt Rollins too much. But Rollins, like we saw tonight, has to just go on a streak now. Have him go on a streak, and this sets up later for Rollins beating Rhodes. I'm talking 2 years from now. I'm talking 3 years from now, because we don't need to see them wrestle for a very long time.
All right, well, Jim, let's do a little bit of quick speculation here as we go on out then, Jim. I mean, we got Cody Rhodes out. We got Edge, who we thought was going to be a long-term Judgment Day plan. I mean, so what are we going to see as the main event at Money in the Bank?
Oh, Money in the Bank? I don't think Reigns...
Isn't that the next pay-per-view? I mean,
it is.
The next
it is. No, it is.
that?
I don't think Reigns... I mean, it could be Reigns and Riddle. They kind of did a little
They teased it a little bit.
They teased it a little. I mean, it could be Reigns and Riddle, but then you would think it'd be Reigns and Orton at SummerSlam then. And I don't think they're going to do that at SummerSlam. I think it's going to be kind of a Reigns and...
Well, you just said Cena's going to be at SummerSlam, so that's the answer.
I don't know if it'll be... Because he already beat Cena, though, so I don't know if it'll be Reigns.
Are we getting Goldberg back?
No, I think it would be more of a Cena would be in a different match. It could be against Austin Theory.
I know they want Drew to wrestle him when he goes home and across the pond, but can we just move that up? Because everybody's ready for that. Drew's pretty hot right now, too. If we had more time, we could go into that.
I know. I think at Money, I think at SummerSlam you're going to be looking at maybe they could do Reigns and Lashley. I don't know.
Chris, as an outsider, who do you want to see? You've got some good tertiary knowledge here. You were around on Summer or WrestleMania. You were around for this. Who do you want to see moving forward? Who's a big main event that'll bring you back to another premium live event?
I would like to see Lashley beat the crap out of Theory and take that U.S. belt away from him.
Well, there we go. The little mid-carder.
He wants that. I like that. How about you, Rod? Who you want?
I mean, I like the idea of Riddle versus Reigns, but you just have to show me Roman Reigns on TV again, right? I mean, I don't want, Reigns to show up one time between now and Money in the Bank, and that's just the thing we do with Riddle, still completely playing off of him fighting with the Usos at every show, because we also haven't mentioned that, because Riddle just messes around with the Usos at basically every show anymore now. That's all that happens, whether it's SmackDown or Raw.
Yep. And today it was against The Miz, and I don't know if you know this. Do you know the size of Miz's balls, Rod?
They're apparently pretty small. That was a thing that was quite a discussion.
Really, really big. I heard he had the biggest ones ever from his wife.
Well, that's true, but she's a little bit of somebody you might not necessarily believe. She has an interest in those balls being big that you might not say is scientific.
So tonight we had the clash, we had the combination, whatever you want to say, Balls and Brew with the Yeah We Know pod. Rod, you're going to take us home, and then of course we all know who has the last word.
That's right. It was fun to bring the two podcasts together. We were just aiming to make a little less work for our guy, the man who makes everything happen, the engine of the entire Morgan podcast network, one Jimmy James Jam Riska. So we made it so he only has one pod this week. Hopefully you enjoyed a little bit of Yeah We Know. If you've never tuned in, if you're a Yeah We Know listener and you've never heard us talk about sports and you listen to the beginning, listen. It's always available for you here in the same feed. We titled them for you nice. Balls and Brew, Yeah We Know, Morgan all right there. We appreciate you listening.
Goodbye, Internet.